Hey everybody, Dr. Dusa here, MTFU Longevity Podcast. How are you? We're here with probably not only are all our guests famous, but this is probably our biggest, at least in his days of competing, biggest bodybuilder or athlete or fitness person that we've had. We did have Chef Andre Rush, the cook for the presidents at the White House. But I think he's a little shorter. I don't know if he, Gunther, the thing is, if you order,
well, I don't know if I compete with that.
Well, no, Gunther, the only thing is, if you order food from him, there's no complaining. You just
you can.
He's a nice guy. But I think he tips the scales at 260. I know you competed at 300 plus. But we'll talk about that. Gunther came from, a lot of you know him. He's been in some of the movies. I put a picture up from Beer Fest, I think. And the thing is, don't drink too much beer, because if you drink too much beer, you will not look like him ever, unless you've got some kind of weird genetics. But I'm very happy he's here. He's the type of guy you just talk to and you feel good. He exudes happiness, vibrancy, energy, all the things that people always hope that they're going to have someday, but too many times they don't live the right life to actually ever embody that. And he's going to tell us some of the things, no secrets, just some of the things that he does that might be incongruent with what you're doing right now. And we'll also talk about he was the only bodybuilder to defeat Ronnie Coleman during Ronnie Coleman's 8-year Mr. Olympia run. We'll talk about that. And there is a large faction of people online who speak in terms of that year, 2002, Gunter was the uncrowned Mr. Olympia. Now, I wasn't there. I don't know. But, there was that was kind of
too bad. It would have been a great experience for you.
It truly would have, sure.
It would have. It was pretty sensational. It was great. The Olympia.
We're going to talk about that. That's because it's important. And then we're going to talk about his family. He's married to Kim Lyons, famous fitness personality, and she was one of the trainers on The Biggest Loser. And I think she also did something with Dr. Phil as well. But they're a very healthy family. He has a 10-year-old son, Jake, who I think has really good abs, right? He has like great genetics, doesn't he? Your son?
Well, he's doing really well. And we don't really, he's not eating diet food or something. So we actually pound a little bit of crap sometimes in him just to put some meat on him, but he has a really lean body, and it's like just the way how he developed, you can tell there's some genes in there in that little boy.
I'm happy, Gunter, I'm happy for parents who bring up good, strong kids. Those kids will end up working and paying into Social Security, so you and I get some eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm only joking somewhat. But I really want to welcome him. We're going to talk about a lot of fun stuff. Ask your questions. I'm getting some questions in German, so I can't really help you there. But we'll work on that as we go. Well, Gunter, welcome. Thank you for giving us your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
How's it going in California these days? Is everything still shut down? Are you getting your workouts in?
Well, I started working out in the gym last Friday. So for a week now, the gyms are open. And I think people are excited. Obviously you can tell the weeks before, right? There's a lot of riots going on here in LA, man. You have the COVID and then Black Lives Matter and stuff. That what's going on with the riots and stuff. I tell you what, people are just frustrated. I think that's why things added out more than they normally do. People, it's like they were pretty much in a closet for so long. I mean, you got to breathe, and then you got to keep living, and if you hold back. So people are getting excited and stuff. So the beaches are crowded, actually, really like crazy. So you can tell the summer is kicking in here. So
I always say, all will be well. I mean, just until we get to that point, there may be some blood, metaphorically speaking. So that's the world. It's like the world is harsh for everyone. And, that's what makes it a great world. Oh, so Don Adams, he spoke in German, I believe. It wasn't a question. It says, greetings from Arizona, Grub Aus, Arizona. So, but,
greetings right back.
He gives it back at you, Don. And Don, thanks for being here. You're always a great contributor. So Gunter, tell us, it's a great story. You're kind of reminiscent of Arnold, and we'll talk why. Obviously, you're from Germany, that part of the world, but you grew up in Germany. So tell us what it was like growing up. You were in school, and you started lifting weights and what your parents thought about it. So how'd that start out?
Well, okay, I know I grew up in school actually, and that in our family there used to be, well, I used to be pretty athletic when I was young, so I was playing soccer, with friends all day, and then I mean I was like outside every day and all day, and even in school when we had gymnastics and track and field, so I was actually doing really well, and I did pretty good, and I got actually my first trophy in a school event for track and field.
Really?
And
let me just interject. When you were at that point, were you already, because you're almost 6'2", and you're obviously heavily muscled even still, but you were known for massive size. But when you were at that age, were you bigger than the other kids or more physically?
Well, I put it this way: I never lost a fight, and I was always the strongest.
Okay. I surround myself with guys like you. Okay, so you got your first trophy, and you were playing sports.
Yeah, and then and my interest in it was really interesting. So my interest for weightlifting or for muscles became already. I think I saw first like Hercules, and then but the movie who really did it, and when I started lifting with little dumbbells at home, was actually Conan the Barbarian with Arnold.
Oh.
So I was 12 years old, and we watched with a couple of friends, on a VHS player, DVD, like a player. So DVDs weren't even DVDs. We had the VHS cassette recorder, and
right.
So and I watched it, and then I was like, "Oh, it's awesome," And then I was like, "Well," and I tried to kind of.
Gunter, I'm sorry. Was that the first time you saw Arnold? Like you didn't know who Arnold was?
Yeah, actually it is. Yeah, at 12 years old, I wasn't really reading the magazines yet, or I wasn't involved with bodybuilding or knew about it. Right. But then it was the first time that I saw Arnold, and obviously how muscular and everything. And I said, "Oh my God, I want to do the same," And then I started getting interest. And you heard about the story Arnold with one back from Austria to America, and it was this successful human being, got from bodybuilding into acting and stuff. And I said, "Oh, I do the same." So from that point on, there was almost no doubt that at some point I will go to America, even at 12 years old.
Gunter, you got to tell us, because we talked before we go on air, and we had a fun discussion. I don't want to skip any of that stuff. But you were talking about how I said how Arnold grew up in this small town, and he felt very inhibited, and everybody had a small mind. They didn't want to, just work a regular job and stay here. You kind of had the same thing, and you want to get out of it, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's like, well, how you say it? It's like it almost seemed everything was too boring. Things were too normal. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be different, and it is weird. I don't know. When people sometimes say there's something special about you. So in our neighborhood, our neighbors, they called me always a sunny boy. So everywhere where I go, I had a smile on my face. The sunny boy.
Oh, okay.
Sunny boy.
Yeah.
So everywhere when people saw me, I always was nice. I had always a smile on my face. I always made little jokes. I had fun. So, and actually, even the older people picked up on that. And then I got in our neighborhood already the nickname the sunny boy.
But, my mother calls me that, but I'm not always smiling like you. We've got a question from Brian Semple. Great bodybuilder, seems like a real nice guy. I thought he'd won more, and it would go back and forth with Ronnie. Glad you're well today, and we'll talk more about that. Thanks, Brian. Brian's a great member, and he is. One thing about Gunter, Gunter could probably be sent into like a riot and just be there, and everybody would just calm down and be happy because of his countenance, it seems. And I'm being a little flip, but
well, the thing is, my wife even said today sometimes, I always, it feels like I get, even if you try to blend in, I never blend in. I always get attention.
You do.
For some reason,
Gunter, so when you were watching Arnold and Conan, was there something inside you that said, I can do that too? Like you felt an affinity,
that's why I said, from that point on, for me, I had almost no doubt that I will go to America at some point,
Right.
And my whole life, I knew I would do something different.
Yes.
Yeah. And but you kind of had to do certain things, obviously, to line and set everything up.
There's a lot of work. People just see a good-looking guy with muscles, and they think he just fell out of the air. There's tons of years of strategy and positioning. But, you had to have that belief. And when you have that, and I'm assuming there's difficulty around you because no one else sees it, especially your parents at first, your father. What did he think of like bodybuilding at first?
Oh yeah, obviously he, like I said, it's like he didn't even want to sign the contract. So at 16 years old, when I finally want to join a gym, instead of working out at home with 2 dumbbells, so I said, no, I need heavier weights, I need more equipment, I need like the whole complete gym, right? And I said, okay, at 16 years, I did a training in a gym, and I came back home with this contract, and my dad said, oh, I don't know if I should sign that. You need to put your energy in something else and make some money, he says. Instead of wasting it with weights and stuff, you can make any money with that. And then I was like, well, I said, I like it though, and I want to do it, And so my uncle, who was at the same time at our house, he's obviously the brother of my dad, he said, let him do it. Come on, man. It's like, you don't know what happened. Maybe he's doing good.
Gunter, is that your father's brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my father's brother. So, and I had last year with him that talk, actually, I told him about it. I said, do you actually know that you did a big thing for me? You probably don't think about it, or you don't know it about it. He said, really? He says, I say, yeah.
We've got, I like this. Sounds like an honest dude with no bullshit. And Samuel, this is a no bullshit zone. We don't take it and we don't shovel it. That's why we have Gunter here. Buck Bell, I was born in Germany from a military family, have been back many times, enjoy it greatly. It's a treat to see you today. Congrats on your success. Buck, I'm happy to know that there's guys like Gunter out there, because all the negative stuff we see on the media, he counteracts it. For every 10 bad stories, all you need is one Gunter, and it kind of balances out. So go ahead, Gunter. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, and then obviously I joined the gym, and 2 years later, after I joined the gym with 18, I already said, and I did my first competitions from junior to the international German championship, and I actually pretty much won all the shows.
Slow down, because people want to know this from you. You went to your first show, you won it, the German championships, the junior overall winner, 20 years old?
Yeah.
Okay, and was that your first show? You were never.
Oh no, the first shows I did was actually with 18. Those were like local shows. So with 16, I joined the gym. At 18, I did my first shows. I won 7 shows in a row, and the international German championship as an 18-year-old, I won the heavyweight.
Oh, you won that as an 18-year-old? Wow.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. It was. It was like, so me and a guy actually who was from Turkey but living in Germany had the same points. So we were supposed to be, you cannot share the first place. But they said, well, you're not going. That year I didn't try to go to the junior world champion. And I said, they asked me, would you go? And I said, no, I'm not this year. I said, I go another year. So the other guy wanted to go to the junior world. Because I was just 18, I did 7 shows in a row, and I was like, well, I'd say 7 shows from week to week, was enough for me for the time. And I said, no, I don't do it. So then I was the same point as the first one. So I got the second place. The other guy got the first, that he can go and move on to the world champion.
I hope up the road you kicked his ass somewhere, right? You've met again.
Well, I've never seen him again, because then 2 years later, at 20 years old, I won the German championship overall heavyweight at the junior. Yep. And in the same year, I went to the world champion. I won the world champion at heavyweight too at 20 years old.
That's a lot of winning. That takes a lifetime for some people. But let me ask you, along the way, at the early juncture, was there somebody helping you, assisting you, or were you like an autodidact and you learned on your own?
So, well, actually, the gym owner who owned the gym, that small gym at the time, Dietmar Kovic is his name, and he actually, he helped me with, training and preparing. He was already competing at the men's division, and I was obviously a junior. So, and then he helped me a lot with nutrition advice and supplements like vitamin and all this stuff, and creatine and glutamine, all this stuff.
So you had somebody good around you early, so you didn't waste a lot of time doing the wrong things. We've got Don Adams here. Don has a question for you. Does Gunter conduct in-person training? I'm 4 hours from LA and like to train with experts in order to continue to learn and grow. Thanks. Do you offer those services, Gunter?
Well, it's like very selective. You know, I haven't done much. I have done some for some clients here close by. I have some training lessons and sessions I made with them, but I haven't really prepared any people with for competitions or dieting and stuff. I mean, obviously, my clients, if I train them or I choose to train them, then I do give them some nutritional advice and stuff too. But you know, mostly they're mostly like some of them work in big corporations and stuff. So
well, we'll talk more about what you do at the end, and if necessary, if needed, we could put your some of your contact information down if it's necessary. Matt Rossiter, one of my old students from university, he says, "Can we get a front double bi?" Of course, look at that. Boom. Come on now. There's the double. None of this single stuff. You look great, man. You know, I had Tony Pearson on here. You know Tony Pearson, of course.
Yeah.
63, still like the Rock. I told him, you know, you're like the Rock of Gibraltar, so much so I don't have to go to Spain now. It's like you brought it to me. The guy's still like reserved, 63 years old. Hi, Betty. How are you? Hey, John. Okay, so you won the World Championships, but you didn't go to America right away.
No, I didn't. No. But you know, with 20, I just won the Junior World Championship and German Championship. So 2 years later, I went on and went to the men's heavyweight division. I won the European champion heavyweight and the German champion in the same year.
Okay.
So that was for the men's division.
The men's division, because I'm looking on a muscle memory here. 1993 World Amateur Championships. You won the heavyweight. Sherlock, if you remember him rolling. Really good.
That was in 1993, yeah.
93, light heavyweight, Abdullah, middleweight, and a bunch of other guys I don't really know. But yeah, those are the big names. But they didn't give an overall. It was just class winners. Is that how that was?
It was, yeah, the year there was just class winners, yes.
But then you're designated as an IFBB Pro, so there you are. You hit that goal.
Yeah.
Right, but even still, you didn't go to America. Like, when did Joe Weider come along? That's what everybody always wants to know.
All right, so Joe Weider came along. Well, I was in, I think it was, what was it, 1995. I won second place in Canada Pro Show. And then I was, well, I think it might have been the night of the champions or the Arnold's, I think it was 1906 Arnold's Classic, where I was on stage. Well, I didn't really get an early call out. So I might have placed even from, what was it, 18 people? I was like 12 or 10 or something like that. So like I said, I felt.
Let me just tell you what they have here. 94, first year you're a pro.
Yeah, that was I competed. I got an invitation because I won the Mr. Universe to the Atlanta Mr. Olympia.
And you took 8th in a couple of Grand Prix shows, nothing to sneeze at. 95, took 2nd in the Canada Pro Cup to
Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie. Yeah.
And Milos Sachev was 3rd, I think. Yeah.
Yes, he was. You know, I've got to tell this quick story because it reminds me of you, and it might have happened with you. When Weider, you know, I learned a lot from Mike Katz. I grew up with him, and he told me about all the old day stories and all that and what went on. And when Dave Draper was the big guy, Weider wanted him to be the face of bodybuilding, like I think you could have been. And he didn't want it. He didn't have the charisma. He was laid back. Then Arnold came along. Zane beat Arnold in the 68 Universe in Florida. And Weider went up to Zane at the winner's circle and says, "I'm going to sign this guy." And Weider's like, "What do you mean? I just won." He goes, "Yeah, but Arnold is what I want. He's the face of body." He still helped Zane. But, you know, he liked the big guys, you know, the big arms. I mean, you've got all that Arnold had. You know, and you're an attractive, good-looking man. You present well, energy, you know, personality. Did he ever try to plug you in any way like that? I mean, you got a lot of covers.
Yeah, actually, well, that was part of the reason I think why also I got signed in pretty good deals. So every time I was on the cover, it must have sold pretty good, you know. So Arnold, you know, I did a lot of the stuff. I did a lot of appearances even during my Weider time for Walmart. I went to shareholder meetings, you know.
Really?
We did some. so we did a lot of SAM clubs opening because we had a lot of product like glucosamine chondroitin for joints that was doing really well in Walmart and Sam's clubs and stuff. So it used to be a big account.
Gunter,
and like I said,
I'm curious though, when you would go to a shareholder meeting, what exactly would you do? What was your role when you would go?
Well, at one point I just said a few words, tried to do motivational. Walmart is big on motivating their employees and stuff, and obviously it's always about sales and sales and sales, But, giving advice, talking to some of the employees and stuff and keeping them motivated and, talking about my story, how I came from Germany to America and all this stuff, at the time. And obviously promoting the supplement too. Yeah.
Marketing is everything, man, as you know.
Yeah, I know.
Marketing, and Weider was a master of distribution marketing. Arnold said early on, I remember Arnold saying, it's not who you are, it's who people think you are, which is kind of not great, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
Some more questions here. Did you ever train with Roland Kickinger?
Actually, I did with Roland a photo shoot once, but we never worked out together. But we did a photo shoot. It was a bicep training, but that was just for the magazine.
Was he also from Germany? Because he was in
No, he was from Austria. He was actually well taller than I am. And
really?
Obviously, with that always comes that when you get that tall, in my opinion, 6'2", it's 6'2", 6'3" is the max in bodybuilding, in my opinion, where you can really kill it. Well, Lou Ferrigno was, I think, 6'4", and he looked, in my opinion, actually of all tall guys, the most balanced.
So wait a minute. What about your castmate on Beer Fest, Rolf Muller? He was like 6'7", wasn't he? Rolf?
Yeah, he's big too. That's why he used to be a great amateur, but he wasn't doing well in pro shows because, well, here's the thing: because of your stature, your long lengths, the legs are long, your arms are long, you gotta put so much on your frame weight-wise. You would never see tall basketball player looking full and round and have the round muscle bellies. So that's why it took me. I actually started filling out towards the end of 20. Instead, when you look at Lee Priest, man, he was round and full already in the beginning of 20s. He was already thick everywhere and stuff. And for me, it took a long time to get my back filled out, my chest full, my shoulders round, the tricep and arms looking full,
There could be some argument. There could be some argument with that where, yes, that's comparing you to Priest. You were 6'1.5". You probably still are. In fact, Barry just asked, how tall is Gunter? I think you're 6'1.5". Is that correct?
Yeah, 6'1.5". Well, now probably 6'1.5". They used to measure me at 6'2".
Oh, okay. Yeah, they just throw that extra half inch on there. But I think there's some truth to the point that you get a guy like Priest that you fill in much quicker because they're shorter, takes you a lot longer. But I think a well-developed, filled-out tall man will usually beat the same if the guy is short. It takes longer, but
it comes also down to stage. Like if you would meet Ralph Muller when he was training in bodybuilding in person, right, when he was lifting, dude, even Ronnie, he could make Ronnie Coleman look small at his biggest. What I'm saying is, because he would look dwarfed, but if you would put them together under the light on the stage, Ronnie by themselves, Ronnie looks full and round and just the muscle pop, where Ralph Muller looks lengthy, and all of a sudden all this big goes away because this muscle don't look round. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Because on his frame, you can't fill it out that to make it look round and full and pop.
We got a little bit of a dicey question here from my student once again, even though my student is now doing better in life than I am. But, that's okay because he's a product. But this is from the movie. He asked Matt Rossiter, this is a fun question from the movie he was in, Beer Fest. If you don't feel comfortable, then don't ask. But it's funny while we're asking it. Does ram piss really help you drink more beer?
No.
And remember,
not that I know of.
Before you answer, since I am a physician, we don't give advice here. We're only giving information. I'm not suggesting.
Not that I know of. You can try, but when I was in Germany and was out when I was younger with my friends, we always ate something like a bratwurst or something that has a lot of fat. You know, that actually helps you to drink a little bit more.
Oh, this is,
you know, heavy
drink?
food.
This
heavy food.
Drink?
Yeah, if you have heavy food, it helps you drink more.
Oh, really? I didn't know there was technique to that. You know, Mike Katz taught me when I was a kid. He said, if you want to be a champion, don't drink beer. So I never had a, no, he did. You know, it was just general advice when I was 15. So Gunter, I never had a beer and I never won anything, but I still haven't had a beer. I drink other stuff, but I mean, it's not a problem. You know?
Never drink beer.
I still enjoyed your movie, but I didn't have any beer.
Cool.
All right. So you're in the pros now. And you moved up the ladder pretty quick. You hit 96. You were kind of in the middle. 97, you took 6th in the Pro Cup. 98, you're placing in the middle. But all of a sudden in 99, the Ironman Pro Invitational 5th. And now you're starting to be in the top 5 in 2000. So you're starting to become a force? Are they starting to promote you a little more at this point as, you know, potential Olympia winner?
Well, I think because of the move in 1997 to America, I actually think that even the judges became more familiar with your name and stuff. It's really, if you think about it, you know, familiarity is really important. You gotta see people, and then you get familiar with it. So when their names comes on stage, and here is, you know, so and so from Ukraine or what, and well, you look good, but you don't really look spectacular enough. You know, I mean, it's not that you right away walk out like, well, Jean-Pierre Fuchs actually did a little bit like that. He came almost from the amateurs and he looked right away spectacular. But the thing is mostly, I always thought, you know, bodybuilding is never a sprint. It's always a marathon. Oh. You don't come and you win. You kind of have to pay your dues and slowly graduate. So that's what I always say. Bodybuilding is a marathon. It's no sprint. And when people sometimes come fast, and I notice that, and you don't show improvement in the pro level, that means that you never go right away and be from never existed to be Mr. Olympia. It will not happen. I'm sorry, but that will not happen because you don't even get the call-outs. So, but if you slowly progress and you get better and better and you work your way up, then at some point, you know, you might can have a chance to be, you know, to be the big guy, or you don't, you know, I mean, it depends how you progress always. But what I noticed with people who came really fast on board, actually Roland Searlock, if you remember.
Yes.
When he came, remember, he was sensational as a new amateur and as a new pro. Yeah, but then all of a sudden, a year later already, 2 years later.
I noticed that. And do you think
because you know, you cannot, you gotta, you know, well, I always say you cannot just come and win it all. You gotta come and progress. You gotta stick around for a while. You know, that is what bodybuilding. That's why I say make it a marathon. Don't make it a sprint.
A guy like you, anybody who has hit the rarefied air, or me as a judge for many years, it is true what you say. And even like Sherlock, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, I wondered that, but that was probably the reason. If you bring one package and it's fantastic or it's a certain level and you come back, you know, we expect to see a difference, a little bit, a lot. If you're the same or less, it only hurts you. And I think that's the difficulty, unless you're the incumbency effect, I like to call it. You win Mr. Olympia, even if you come in a little off. I mean, if you look at Ronnie, if you look at Dorian, their last Olympias, you know, they were dealing with injuries. They didn't have, you know, and it was, you know, they kind of won, but it was very, very questionable because I think because they already had the name, you had to really, really be outstanding. To beat them. You know, you look at Haney, the first year that the first year he went in, he came in 3rd. And then he won, but it was quick because they were ready to make that transition. It was the same thing with Yates. He went against Haney, and Haney kind of knew. He saw Yates. This is a whole different deal, you know. So he vacated. But let's see. We've got Lance Stranahan. I had the pleasure of having lunch with Gunter the day after he exposed at West Palm. Lance is a good friend of mine. You know Lance. West Palm, Florida, probably about 13 years ago or so. The promoter John Morgan was with us. He passed away since then. I had written a script at the time for a Barbarian movie that I wanted Roland, Gunter, and Rolf Muller to be in. The producer backed out. Man, that
I think I actually remember that.
But do you remember that?
I remember that. I think somebody reached out about that, I thought.
Well, so Lance, you wrote a script.
Yeah, and I know the promoter too, John. Yeah, he was great. We hang out together and everything.
He was great.
It was awesome.
He was great he was great until he didn't come through with the money, though. I guess he said he backed out. You were ready to do this movie?
Well, it's like, I don't know if I look good enough, but it depends if it gets funding, and so why not?
Yeah,
it sounds like fun.
Lance had a long history. His father was the man who introduced weightlifting to the pro golf, PGA. His father was a pro golfer.
Wow.
His father was a British Open champion. His father competed in bodybuilding, competed against Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer. And Lance was, amongst all the bodybuilders my age, when he was younger. So he knows a lot about it. I just have to pop this up really quick. Doc, don't say you never won something. 1995, Mr. Connecticut, Mr. USA. Yeah, those are very weak years, though, Matt. The years I won. Everybody stayed home. But if you're the winner, you're the winner. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, Lance says, no, John was the promoter, and he passed away.
Yes, I know. Actually, I was supposed to. Well, it was kind of strange because I got a call from somebody, and I don't know if I was going to be going out for a show to him again and stuff. But it was because I was there. I think I met him. I met John like 3 times. I did guest appearances over there and stuff.
Oh, he was running shows. He was running shows.
Yeah, he was down in Florida, right?
Hey, Lance, can you tell us his last name? Would I know who that is, or also bodybuilding promoter, but he also wanted to produce a movie. Is that what you're saying? Because I knew you wrote the script anyway. Hi, Betty. Yeah, it's very cool, Betty. We bring the best in the world here. The best. I can't think of anybody better than Gunter. He's such a cool, nice guy. Great stories. Part of the true landscape of rarefied air. The pantheon of greats in bodybuilding. And Betty says you are a winner even to this day because you inspire people. People see you.
Oh, thanks. That's so nice, Betty. Thank you so much.
Well, you know what, Gunter, think about it. Just like you saw Arnold, he put you into motion to do things that you if you didn't go to that movie and never saw him, you might not be sitting here right now. You might not even be married to Kim.
Yeah.
You might be on an oil rig getting your fingers cut off or something, I mean, who knows?
Well, that's what I'm saying, you never know. At this point, I want to think that I did exactly everything right because that puts me in the position where I'm today. So
keeps your head straight too. Lance says, no, John Organ, NPC judge and promoter of shows. No, the movie was someone else in California. So,
yeah. But he was John was down from Florida, I believe, right? He promoted a show down in Florida, I think.
Yeah, that's where Lance lives.
Yeah, and I think he died of heart disease and stuff. But I know I met with him at least 3 times. I did 2 shows for him, and one I had a guest appearance, and he came up and we just hang out.
Good guy.
He was real nice guy, down to earth, really nice guy.
Lance says, Gunter, for some of those years, in my opinion, had probably the best physique in the world, 2002. Lance, we're going to talk about the 2002 Olympia and how he was the only man to beat Ronnie. And we all love Ronnie. We're going to, this is longevity. When you look at Gunter right now, he exudes health, happiness, vibrancy. And if we look at Ronnie, we love Ronnie. But, I'm going to ask you, I'll jump ahead. Gunter, would you opt-in that Ronnie maybe trained too hard? I know it sounds kind of nuts, but first of all, Ronnie has huge genetics, and I do believe that he would have been still probably the best ever without training with that huge amount of weight that he actually used to. I mean, he was strong, so he used to do powerlifting and stuff, right? Yeah. But here's the thing. You can push your body with that amount of weight constantly only for that long. And I actually went up in bench pressing 3 times 530 pounds. I did 7 reps with 750 pounds of squat, did squats by myself on the things. But I tell you what, though,
I could do only it for a certain time. And I noticed when I had to back off, because first of all, for me and Charles at the time, and I, choose to train with Charles, for us, it was important form. And if you can't keep a good form and you do very jerky and you're not always in controlled motion, and especially if you train with heavy weight, man, you can do some serious damage to your body. And doing this over the long time, I think, I don't know if you need quite that much weight. And because I can tell, like, my shoulders are shot a little bit. I mean, I can still do some side raises and stuff, but I feel today, because I was training so extreme at some point in chest and all this stuff and tried to push it so hard, that the drop back is more than if I would have trained at the time not quite as heavy. And I think I would actually be today at this point stronger, and my joints or my shoulders wouldn't be as achy as they are today. Don't get me wrong, I never had a surgery or anything, so I'm doing great. But
knock on wood for that.
But what I'm saying is, from doing a lot of the squats, and especially think about it, I do that since 16 years old every day. We're talking every day. The longest period I had a break was once maybe a week. Wow. But what I'm saying is, so you do put your body under a lot of stress and obviously heavy lifting. So you will have, so you give something. There's something you always give, right? But I do think Charles and I, remember they used to do the Battle for the Mr. Olympia?
The what?
The Battle for the Mr. Olympia, that is the DVD series. Yeah. When I sometimes looked at me and Charles said, and I said, man, I don't know about that heavy weight that Ronnie is doing. I mean, I train heavy and stuff, but my goodness, and it was always like so snapped. Everything was so snapped and sometimes not in full, how you say, under full contraction. So I always say, man, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in a wheelchair. It was like a real discussion at the point, because I said, look, I said it pretty much more about myself. I said, if I try to do what Ronnie does, I said, I know I will end up in a wheelchair. That's pretty much what I said. I don't know how he does it, but he obviously, that tells you that he was a phenomenon of genetics and like a genetic freak.
Very, very much. But I would say this. I know that he did 800-pound squat, 2 or 3 reps. And to this day, he says the only thing he wishes is that he did 5 reps. But I would say the law of diminishing returns, wouldn't he get possibly the same muscular development from 600 pounds? Was that extra 200 pounds necessary? I think that's what you're saying. And there's another thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I know that sometimes, especially when you train heavy, you try to be really explosive. And I noticed you just take a light weight and you just slow down the motion just enough. The easiest way to do that is actually as looking at an exercise, take a leg press, okay? You put 10 plates each side, right? And you go try to really go a little bit and up it, right? And then you put half of the weight down and you go really slow and really up. I'm swear to God, you probably do as many reps if you take it really slow down a little bit and really, all the way down, and you push it out and take everything a little bit slower. I'm telling you, you get the same workout and contraction actually you get with heavy weights, I believe,
Actually,
or at least pretty close.
There's time under tension, lighter weight, higher reps going to failure. There's studies showing that you'll get the same hypertrophy, not necessarily the same strength development. There is studies done on that. But going back to Ronnie, the kids will say, I'm going to do the same thing, but chronic pain meaning it's always there, will wear you down and change your personality. It's a hell of a way to live. And
and I tell you, this was a thing. I always said, I had a workout partner, earlier I said it was in the early stages when I was a junior. I was about 20 years old or 22 at the time. And I said, listen, if we train the way you want me to, and we keep this up, I said, I will not work out with 40 anymore. And I said, because we were breaking so much muscle down, I swear to God, we had 3 hours gym session. And at the end, you crawl out of there and everything hurt but the muscle.
No kidding.
So, yeah, because, because it's like, here's the thing. So you train, you get a pump, right? And you feel good about everything, right? And then all of a sudden you feel like, okay, now all of a sudden the muscle fell. You didn't feel the muscle. You couldn't get a pump anymore. That's how extreme we were always working on it so long. And then it has proven that actually I had better gains towards my end of 20s, you know, beginning 30s, than in my early stages of 20s. Because of, I changed my workout. I had intense workout. I worked out quick, but I also had less time in the gym, 45 minutes to an hour intense. That means I go in there and I'm not on my phone. I'm just keep it going from exercise to exercise. I had 30 seconds rest and 25 seconds rest. So that way I didn't even needed to take that much weight anymore because my muscles were exhausted because I was training so fast. But I break it down. That's really what I wanted to do. And then I go home, feed the muscle with nutrition, and then you get the rest, and that's when the muscle grows. The muscle doesn't grow in the gym. That's the only way you break it down.
This is extremely interesting, and so many people have to hear this. But let me ask you, you did retain the services, especially when you knew you were going against Ronnie. This was the advent of Charles Glass, correct? And what kind of, you know, he's the, you know, I hear so much, you know, stellar things about him. What difference does he make, or did he make for you when you adopted his techniques?
Well, you know, I always looked pretty good, but I always felt like I could bring up my back, right? So, and when I did the show, 4th place at the Ironman, and I did all my dieting by myself, my training by myself, Charles saw me, and he came to the gym after the show, and I was working out in the gym, and he looked at me, he said, dude, your conditioning was phenomenal. How did you do that? I said, who did you diet? I said, I did myself. He said, are you kidding me? I said, I did. Yeah, I said, I did everything by myself. So that's how we start talking. He said, you should have even been higher up. I said, I had you 3rd at least, he says. I said, oh, thanks, man. That means a lot. By the way, I always wanted to work out with you because, you know, I think you're doing a great job, and you're smart with, you know, looking at physiques, and you know what physiques need to add to be better, right? So, and actually said, hey, then let's work out together. So we started working out. He had me dropping all the weight that I used to that time in half. Because he said, listen, wait, hold on a second. So we need to get your back better. And I was like pulling over 300 pounds on my back and everything, right? And he said, let's take half and slow down the motion and go squeeze on the bottom. I couldn't even do half of the reps that I did with like 300 pounds. It was ridiculous.
Now you're talking about your back. So you think your back was weak and it needed improvement.
Yeah. Well, do you ever have seen a Mr. Olympia with a weak back? Or never. Every Mr. Olympia had a good back.
No. That makes all the difference. Did he have you start? I mean, were you doing deadlifts? Were you doing T-bar rows and all that? And
yeah, but he showed me a lot of angles, different exercises that were actually really, really helpful, and I could see the improvement within seriously a couple of weeks. And the feel everything.
This was before 2002 when you defeated Ronnie, right?
Yeah.
So how did that unfold? Now let's just look here. 2002, you were in the Olympia. In 2001, you took 15th. All of a sudden, in 2002, you took 5th. That's quite and a lot of people said you should have won the whole show. And I heard another guy was talking. It was one of the promoters, said, well, Ronnie did a string of shows and he was burnt out. So he went in the show of strength and Gunter beat him. A lot of people just say you flat out beat him right there. I mean, what was the reaction there, and how did you feel when that happened?
Well, you know, I actually first never thought that they would let me beat him because he just won the Olympia. I actually thought that almost, I don't know, I don't know for sure, but I felt like almost in 2002, the Mr. Olympia condition was better than almost, well, I felt almost it was better than at the GNC show of strengths. But then again, some people said, no, I don't. So it's hard to judge yourself, I guess. But that was funny. So when I placed 5th at that Olympia and the whole audience booed, and I had to go to the mic and I said, listen, guys, it's okay. What you guys doing here tonight is worth more than the title, right? And you know how that is. But even Triple H was there, was hosting the show. He said, dude, you should have driven away with a Cadillac, for the first place.
The wrestler?
Yeah, they were like, my goodness, you look amazing as that thing. So, well, it is, I knew it wouldn't happen, but when people say, well, last year he was 15th, don't forget, if you look at the 2001 Olympia, I was actually in really good shape. I just didn't get the call out.
Is that what it was?
Well, you know, Peter McGovern, the chief editor-in-chief from Flex magazine at the time, said that. I said, my God, you know, and he said, Gunter. That's how he said it, Gunter. Last year, you should have been already in the top 10 and top 8 at least. You know, you looked really good last year. There was no way that you got beaten by some guys that were right in front of you. But, you know, that was the way how it is. And you just got to come in next year and try to do better. You're right.
I mean, they had Rule ahead of you, Greg Titus.
I know.
King
I know.
Kamali,
I know.
You know, King Kamali, come on now. Orville Burke. He's from my way. Do you think it's because the physiques are all so very good that they just don't even, you know, they're just going to take the guys who are the most, you know, prominent in the magazines? Could be that, or do you think it was a personal thing?
I don't know. To this day, I don't really know. I don't know if it's. I wouldn't say necessarily personal, but well, you know, you never know. I was doing well, and I don't know sometimes if people like if you do well. You know what I mean? Oh. So I was at the, you know, even with not placing high at the Olympia, I was doing financially really well. I had a lot of job work. I you know, I did 12 TV commercials.
Wow.
You know, so I did quite some work on that end, and you know, I did a lot of, you know, photo shoots and stuff for other magazines and stuff. So I was doing pretty good. I mean, I was doing great. And
Gunter,
I don't know, sometimes
for times like that, the axiom is people want you to do well, but they don't want you to do that much better than they're doing. So, you know, they might, you know, that's human nature.
It is for me really hard to judge, you know, to say really what was the reason. It was always that fans thought I should be higher. A lot of the people from publications thought I should be higher, you know, and, you know.
Lance says, I could tell as Gunter went along, he really improved his taper. He got so wide, he really made his waist look smaller than when he was younger. Did you specifically try to do that?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. So that was part of the thing. Well, if you have a big frame, you gotta make up for your weaknesses. So, you know, I always had, well, I never was blessed with small hips. So I had to bring up my back and everything to make the waist look smaller. Again, bodybuilding is an illusion. So if you can't do that, you know, your whole physique appears different on stage.
And Lance agrees. 5th at that Olympia 2002 was ridiculous. Must have been upsetting. But then you won. How far after that Olympia was the show of strength? Was that right after that?
Yeah, 3 weeks after.
And so when that happened, what was Ronnie's reaction? Did he come up and shake your hand, or was he upset or shocked?
He actually he didn't say anything. It's like he just walked off stage, and then, but I afterwards had to go into the locker room because backstage I had rooms where we are obviously dressed and undressed and stuff. So, and I had to get my bag out of the room, and him and his whole family was in there. He obviously was a little bit knocked down, but he said then, "Hey, congratulations." I said, "Thanks, you know, I appreciate it." And you know, that was really the word. So.
And now, so when that happened, did they start promoting you as a possible Mr. Olympia going forward?
Well, the following year it was Ronnie, obviously Jay and I, you know, going in 2000. It was in 2004, the 2003, and obviously they promoted all us in the magazines. You know, who can get the trophy again, and who will do it. You know, obviously in that year Ronnie came in like huge as ever, and well, you know, I actually had Well, what I actually have never talked about. So when I started getting ready for the Olympia at the time, in 2003, I think only Flex I told that. And besides then, I haven't really talked to anybody until recently. And so in 2003, I started already separating from my ex. So I was getting ready for the Mr. Olympia. I looked really good. I mean, you can even call Charles Glass out of it and ask him how I was looking towards going to the Olympia. Until 6 weeks before, or was it 4 weeks, I got a staph infection. Oh, and that whole thing threw me out of the ranks. I lost 22 pounds within 2 weeks. and it was all muscle pretty much. So, but because my conditional was good already, I could get still in shape, but I could not even get close to the. I thought I could have been easily 305, 310 pounds on stage at the end.
Well,
you can ask Charles about it. He knows that I had tears in my eyes. I mean, I was laying at home, couldn't even sleep on my leg and stuff. And I had to deal with this it was ridiculous. And I had to make up in 3 weeks to get down and get in condition and all this stuff. And do you know what Flex answers were when I once told him that? It was actually at a guest appearance in Fresno. He said, I wouldn't have gone. I would have canceled my Olympia. He said, I said, well, I knew I could get in shape. And I said, I signed the contract. I didn't want to deal with it. So I know, but I still placed 5th, but I know I could have done much better if that all didn't happen. So
it was Ronnie, Jay, Dexter Jackson, Dennis James, and you. That was 2003. And then 2004, 4th in the Arnold Classic. And 6th in the Olympia, but Lance just wrote, I guess LeBron jumped into your arms at the show of strength.
Oh, Kevin was awesome, and he was so pumped, man. I can't believe it. He was so happy for me. It was ridiculous. You know, the best photo shoots ever I had with Kevin LeBron. Actually, it's like he's such a great guy. It was fun.
Yeah.
You know, every time we did the photo shoots, and you probably saw the 405-pound dumbbell curl, how we do together the leg press and stuff. You know,
those are who shot? Was that Ralph DeHaan, or who was the photographer?
Chris Lund. Chris Lund.
Yeah. Lund is great. Do you remember anything about Nasser? Because he was competing here at that time.
Yeah, actually, Nasser. Well, I met Nasser the first time actually in Germany. So we were doing in 1994. I was doing a guest appearance at the FIBO in Germany, the world's biggest fitness expo, and we had the biggest booth there. And I was actually hanging out with Nasser there, real nice at the time. So it was great. Unfortunately, you know, he had some issues after his career too, and passed away. That is too bad, man.
2003, you were doing really well. You were on the Grand Prix circuit, top 3. Olympia 5th place, the show of strength dropped down to 5th, but even in 2004, the Arnold 4th. So you were, the 2005, the Olympia 4th place. So you were still in your head. Were you still thinking, you're getting on in your career, but are you thinking you're still right there in striking range to win? Did you want to win the Olympia?
Yeah, of course, but you always train. You want to win. There's, obviously, why would you do it if you don't think, you have a shot or you don't believe in yourself to get better? But, for me, was always for me, the main reason was always, I always wanted to be better than the last year,
Right.
If you were or not, it depends on how things go. And then, if the diet works for you and stuff, you have to understand over all these years, not one time I had exactly the same diet and my body responded the same to a diet. Wow. In all these years of bodybuilding, because from year to year things change. One time I did a low carb, high fat, high protein diet, and actually it looked phenomenal. And then the next time I did it, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't work good, Right. And then I feel like I needed some more carbs to keep full, for stage and stuff, So it's there's always certain little changes,
You compete around 300. What would your body weight go up considerably in the off season?
No, actually not much. I always try to pretty much leave. Well, I always ate normal. It's like I never went, okay, no, I stuff my full and then I gain like 20 pounds and I have that and stuff. I always did a lot of appearances. I always tried to actually maintain a good or a decent shape, I put it this way, for appearances and stuff. I never really tried to go. And also what I did too, after the shows, I was never the guy who jumped from one day or like in a couple days to like 25 or 30 pounds more weight. Some people actually do that. They retain. And I never did that. My weight continuously was only going slow up and slow down, because I feel like, well, it can, your heart will give you a little other talk with that.
I'll inject this right now. I can't say for sure. I don't know your case, but when you're tearing weight off and gaining, you know, let's say you're fluctuating 30 or 40 pounds your whole life as a bodybuilder, and you do it for a decade or longer, or 2 decades, there's nothing healthy about that. Every time you do that, the body feels like it's being attacked. It releases poisons. It feels, you know, there's all kinds of issues that arise. And probably part of your excellent longevity is probably because you stayed at baseline and you weren't always shocking the body like that. But yeah, a lot of guys do that, especially with the insulin now and the tons of carbs they take, you know, 600 grams of carbs, and they're pounding it. And they,
well, it's like, here's the thing, what I have to say in insulin. Insulin, yeah, it makes you bigger and stuff, but, and I experimented with it, but I did not like it. And I tell you, because of, I think for a big guy that I could keep my waists flat, was because I didn't use it.
Well, you know,
for gaining size.
True.
I'm telling you, it's like I've seen people who use growth, and then the people think it's all growth. And when I said no, I think that insulin, it's a dangerous pill, and I think it messes a lot of people's body up, considering the stomach, the gut, and everything. You know.
Well, you for a guy who was carrying 300, you did not have the protruding gut like you see a lot, and that's probably could be attributed, because it's still kind of like a conundrum or a question as to why that happens, and you hear many different, you know, theories as far as that goes. But you finally decided 2006, the Olympia, you took 10th, and then you got yourself an agent, or you got into you know, acting lessons and whatnot. Did you say that was it for bodybuilding? I mean, a clean cut and that was it?
Yeah, you know what? It was a time, you know, it came actually in 2005 already. My head was in 2005 in a game, but after that, not anymore. So when I placed 4th, Arnold came backstage and was so mad, and he tipped his finger on my chest like this. You should have placed higher.
What year was this? Which show?
2005. 2005.
Okay, you took 4th. So what did he said you should have been higher?
Yeah, he saw the whole thing. He said, you brought symmetry, your condition, your posing, you brought everything to the table, and said, and you still didn't get compared to the top 3.
That's weird. You weren't even compared.
I placed 4th without being compared to the top 3.
Ronnie, Coleman, Jay Cutler, Gustavo Bedell, and then you. So you weren't compared to those 3 at all. And you were in the top. You were 4. That doesn't doesn't even sound right as far as IFBB judging guide.
Well, it was at the time, but you know, it kind of like give me a little knock on the head. And in 2006, my head wasn't in it, and I can tell my how you say that, my body was. Now sometimes it's maybe when your head is not in, your body doesn't respond either, and you know what I mean, mentally, if you're not right. And I think that what kind of happened in 2006, and I was like, you know, and then I noticed, obviously, you know, Kim and I kind of now met each other, and I had different plans, wanted to have family and stuff. So, and I said, well, I always felt like as a bodybuilder, you have to be egoistical. That means, you know, from the minute in the morning you wake up to the minute you go to sleep at night, everything is about you, you know, and I didn't want that for, like, you know, even a son, or if you have a kid and stuff. And for me, I wasn't ready before then. So, and then finally, when I just made the decision, I took some acting lessons and classes. I did here and then a little work and stuff. And, you know, then we got married and was, you know, we're having a happy family life.
For people who don't know, Gunter is married to the beautiful Kim Lyons. She's been on many fitness magazine covers. She's a big figure in fitness, and she was one of the trainers on The Biggest Loser for 2 years. She was also on the Dr. Phil weight loss edition. He had some type of event there. And, you know, very happy family. You know, he's completed the deal. I mean, and a lot of people don't do that. They don't know when to get out. They don't really have a focused goal. I think, you know, plus, I mean, what was your response to Arnold when he said that? Did you say, let's go complain, or you were just like, oh, you know, what am I going to do? Or
yeah, no, I said, yeah, well, I thought it was a little strange that I didn't get compared, and then I thought, and you know, his words were really like, he said, they're going in the wrong direction with the look of bodybuilding that he said. So that was what he said afterwards. You know, I said, well, it's nothing obviously I can do about it. It feels like it's every time like that. You know?
What was your relationship with Jay Cutler like? Because, you know, you knocked heads with him a little too. Jay seems like a good guy.
Oh no, Jay and I were great together. We have a lot of I have a lot of respect for Jay, man. He's a great guy. He's a great businessman, and he's a great person. You know, I wish him all the success he has, man. He's a great person.
You know, I've done some marketing.
I enjoyed. We did many guest appearances together. Matter of fact, one year we went together in May to Pittsburgh, Jim Mannion show, and then we flew then the very next day directly from there to 2 years in a row actually then into Boston. You know he's from Boston, yeah. Massachusetts, and so we had always fun, man. It was a great time.
Well, Gunter, I'm in Connecticut. It's right below Massachusetts. I'm not telling you to come here. Skip Connecticut. You know, it's Connecticut is, you know, it's got its issues. I mean, I'm happy as far as, you know, things go in general. But yeah, as far as Jay goes, I'm going to tell you why Jay is successful and still relevant. Well, after far afield from competing, he's a lot like you. He's approachable, warm, passionate. You can tell he cares. Everybody that orders something, he signs it. He spends time with everyone. Everyone counts. And then there was another former Olympian. I'm not going to say whether it was a man or woman. They wanted me to help them with their webpage, and they would put something up. You know, they put a post up, 300 responses, and you know, this person was wondering why they weren't getting any business. I said, you know, you didn't like, you didn't make a comment, you didn't share, you didn't acknowledge them. And I said, listen, you've been around a long time. People don't remember you. You've got to, you know, your name is not enough. You've got to go beyond that. You know, and I think Jay does that. I think you always have to do that, right? You always have to work hard. You can't just sit back. Is that true? I mean, you're still working hard to this day on that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know, of course you gotta do and make your life worth. You know, I mean, you gotta work hard. It's every day, man. You gotta get up and be motivated. I said me and my wife actually have a line of equipment, and that's doing actually, you know, we actually during coronavirus is doing phenomenal. So
you gotta be crushing it now.
Oh, dude, like, you know, check out Bionic Body Gear. It's like, unfortunately, it's sold out everywhere, but we have kettlebells, plyo boxes.
Gunter, at the very, when we're done, I'm going to put all your business contact info. We'll direct people. But Lance, our friend Lance Stranahan, he took him, I think, a month to get dumbbells through the mail.
It's nuts. It's ridiculous. You can.
For $30,
you can't keep him on shelf. You can't keep him on shelf right now.
I mentioned when we talked before we went on the air here, I said, you know, you present as the picture of health, and you even look probably younger and more vibrant than when you competed. And that's not to say you look bad. No, but I'm just saying, in other words, you bridge the gap from, you know, bodybuilding led you to something to other good things, as opposed to being, you know, my friend John Defendis. You know John? John Defendis?
I think not personally though.
Yeah, but he's a Mr. USA from the 80s. Yeah. He's a big time trainer down south. And actually, it's not John Defendis. It's Troy Zucolato who I was talking to.
Yes, I know him. Yes.
Yeah. Troy was saying, you know, you don't want to become, you know, he's very successful in his business. He said, you know, you don't want to. You know, he knows of like 4 or 5 guys that won the Mr. America that all live in a trailer together at age 50. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but they didn't have a plan to go forward. Whereas your plan has not only led to a wonderful family, good health, helping others, but you have viable businesses. So that's really, it's very well. You didn't track your health. You had this meter in your head. You knew why you were doing what you were doing. It's very important. And here we go. Another comment. Gunter, you are an amazing athlete, great inspiration in every way.
Thanks.
Great interview. And here's a question about your bodybuilding career. Do you have any regrets?
Any regrets? You know, not really. Actually, I don't think I have. Well, you know, sometimes you think of what we talked earlier. Sometimes, did you need it to train with that heavy weight always or stuff, you know, just to, you know, like, well, you know, today is like, you have a little soreness here and then. No, did I have any surgery? No. But, you know, it's like, sometimes I feel like maybe you could have, in a way, certain things you could have done different from training wise. but I do not think that I have any regrets. I think I would do everything I did, I would do the same, I guess.
What would have made you a better bodybuilder?
Better bodybuilder. I think in the beginning, if I would have listened first or way earlier to, how I felt and working out, instead of first training really the way how I trained and overtrained a lot, if that makes sense. I think I could have done better in the beginning instead of wearing and tearing so much when I was at a young age.
Gunther, you're training now. What is it like? What volume is it compared to when you were competing? And what do? You mentioned immunity. I was looking at your page. You work hard on your immunity and your health, your longevity. What, in a general sense, what is your approach as far as that goes?
Well, first of all, always I try to, warm up better than I used to. And then once I get going, obviously, I always try to work with a weight that I don't need a spot. I don't really push like extreme heavy weights. And, I train more with muscle feel, I would say,
Right,
instead of trying to force heavy weights.
Yeah.
And, I try to keep my workouts within 45 minutes. So I try to keep the pace fast. So you will never see me having a phone on me in the gym.
No.
It just, I don't do that. I just go work. I'll be back 45 minutes later, an hour max, And I focus on one muscle group a day. I train every muscle group once a week. So I have 5 workouts days. I have 2 days off. So I do back one day, chest one day, shoulders one day, legs one day, arms one day.
What are your 4 or 5 best supplements?
Well, it's actually transverse Veratrol.
Yes.
Glutamine.
Important.
CoQ10.
Yep.
And
DK, anything like that?
Well, just in general, I do protein,
Good. Make sure you keep your protein high.
Yeah, complete protein.
Where do you keep your body weight these days?
I don't know, man. I feel like I don't eat much. Kim, my wife says I eat like a bird right now, but really? I still am 260.
260?
260 still.
You obviously enjoy good general health. You feel good. You sleep well.
Yes, I do. I tell you what, my body is like, I have my own clock in me. It's like after 7:30 or 7.5 hours, 8 hours, I automatically, without even, boom, I wake up.
That's a good.
So I'm like, really, I have no issues going to sleep. I sleep good.
Well, that's a. But
I'm taking also ZMA. It's a good product too.
That's great. Do you have any idea where your testosterone levels are? Do you get blood panels done periodically?
Well, the last time, obviously, they were low.
They were low.
Yeah, they were low. So it's like the doctor said, well, I kind of want to have kind of waited out a little bit and see, and it's like obviously do certain training and stuff. You can bring the testosterone.
It's always smart to see what your body can do naturally. I agree. Let me ask you, your son Jake, how would you feel if he wanted to become a bodybuilder, competitive bodybuilder? Yes or no?
Well, if he wants to, well, obviously, I put it this way, I mean, do I want him to? I don't know. I wish, well, I know, well, he doesn't know really how much hard work that is. I don't know if he's willing to put that hard work in there these days, but I don't know if he does it right, maybe. I don't know if you want him to do that to the extreme where it is now these days. I don't, like physique classes, I actually think, like if I looked at now, what are the physique classes today, where is the bodybuilding from the past, Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind if he does that, because he has great genetics. I think it would come easy to him.
Yeah, between you and his mom, my God, he might be like Steve Reeves or something. At the end here, I do 5 or 6 questions. I just throw questions out, and you answer them any way you want. As far as you being challenged and lighting a fire under your ass to train, who was more effective, Ronnie or Jay?
Wow. I said, well, they're both the same, 50-50.
Okay.
They're both the same.
That's very magnanimous of you. That's a good answer. Okay.
Yeah.
I already asked you what you would do differently. And the number one thing that you do to keep your health solid, what's the number one concern, the number one thing you think about, the number one thing you try to keep on top of as far as your health?
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency with all my vitamins, and especially drinking a lot of water. I consistently drink 5 liters of water a day.
5 liters. Wow.
All the time. Yes. I actually think that keeps everything clean, man.
Will you always train with weights?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay. And who was the greatest Mr. Olympia since 1965 on, in your opinion?
I'm not going from head to head, but I'm looking at everything total, how physically they are now and how they, were in the past and how dominant. Actually, I think, in my opinion, it could be Lee Haney.
Haney, yes.
And you have to understand, do you actually know that he retired pretty much with 34?
I know that. He won his first.
And do you know that the last year he beat Dorian? Do you actually know that it was the best he ever looked?
His last?
What? Yeah. When he beat Dorian Yates, it was the best I've ever seen him. You gotta watch it.
Gunter, I think you're a little off. I think he actually, I'm gonna find him right now in here. I think he retired at 31. Because I think listen.
Lee Haney?
Yeah, Haney. I'm going to find it right now, right on this site. So
if it's 31, are you kidding me right now?
No,
so
I don't. I stopped.
That's what I'm saying. So when he retired that early, it's like, I'm telling you, man, it's like he's a different beast. And do you see him today, man? He's running, dude. He's in unbelievable shape. I respect that, and that's why I don't know.
Gunter, and I'm going to tell you, I put you now in the pantheon of the nicest bodybuilders. I'm going to say Mike Katz, Lee Haney, and Gunter Schlierkamp. That's your new addition. That's a rarefied group because everybody. Listen, you catch them, you're in a bad mood.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I know, I mean it. Haney was born in '59. He just turned 60, or he's going to be 60 in November. And his last Olympia was '91. So he was 32. He might not.
My gosh. No, but that's what I'm saying. At 32, that's the most when people's careers start.
Yeah, oh no, I know that. So how far could
and when I look at him today and see him I follow him and stuff, right? He looks amazing. It's really it's unbelievable.
And he's a man of God, a family man, all that good stuff. And this is a great question for you. And I would agree, Haney, the greatest Mr. Olympia overall. What's your relationship with Arnold? Did Arnold have an affinity for you since you were from that part of the world and you kind of, coming along, you kind of mirrored?
Well, actually, I met Arnold already in 1994 when I was at the Arnold's Classic to visit the Arnold's Classic. And our ways always crossed. And me and my wife, because we promoted a show in Hawaii with a friend of mine who used to be the nephew of Arnold's partner and promoter of the Hawaiian show. And so me and Kim actually spent some...
Was that Mitz Kawashima? Mitz?
Yes, Mitz.
Okay.
So Mitz was a good friend of mine. I actually was several times posed for him, and then also we took the show over for a while, but it is a little different when you're in Hawaii. If you're not local, you don't get much support and sponsorships there.
No,
so anyway, but Arnold was part of the show. So me and my wife traveled to Sacramento and signed a deal, is the paper, to do that for like 2 or 3 years with Arnold when he was in office.
Oh, no kidding.
How great is that?
I
give you a high five for
that. That's the way to do it.
So that was really cool, actually. It was a very interesting experience, a very awesome experience, yeah. And I actually could tell him then that I have to thank him that because of him I started bodybuilding.
A lot of people. That's got to be kind of surreal. You think back to when you were a kid and you're watching him swing a sword, and then years later you're working in tandem with him. I mean, that's you know, most people, that's not how things work out. So, you know, it's like George Papard from the A-Team. He says, I love it when a plan comes together. Last question, then we're going to go into your business. I'm going to pop a couple of contacts, you know, your equipment and the things that you do for work and entrepreneurship. What is the number one thing that makes you happy, since you seem to be such a happy guy?
Wow, the number one thing is actually, well, actually going with my family camping, I think is it right now.
Camping, really?
Yeah, we got an Airstream.
Oh, no kidding.
You know?
Yeah, those are great.
Oh, yeah, we camp in Seattle. Oh, my son loves it, man. You know, because of that, actually, we actually pretty much got one.
Oh, no kidding.
Because he loves, you know, he was always so into it. And then actually we have always a blast. So we love going up north, Big Sur, wine country and all this stuff. So it's amazing.
Wow. So those are the places to go in California. And as far as you go to the woods.
Oh, you got to go to Big Sur, man. It's one of them. I think it's the most beautiful place, man. It's ridiculous. It's near Carmel. Oh, you know, Clint Eastwood used to be the mayor of Carmel. Yeah,
I do know that. Yes, in fact, I just had on the other night Pete Koch, playing the NFL, and he was in the Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood, so he knows.
Oh yeah.
And my marketing friend of mine has a house in Carmel. Just bought a house on the water over there.
Oh
so
yeah, it's beautiful, man. Nice.
You know he's doing well. But Gunter, when you're stuck in the woods, how do you train? What do you just use logs and stuff, or what do you do to pump up?
Well, that's when I do my week off.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe a few push-ups I do sometimes. So.
Gunter, tell us about what you're doing now and how people can contact you, like your equipment company. What's that called with you and?
It's bionicbody.com.
Bionic.
Kettlebells.
Bionicbodygear.com, right?
No, bionicbody.com.
Yeah, it's bionicbody.com. Yeah.
Okay, bionicbody.com.
Yeah.
And what can they get there? What kind of stuff do you sell?
Oh, it's like we have from kettlebells, resistant bands from a 5-pound tube to a 100-pound tube, handles, you know, like a bar handle and single handles. We have, like I said, the resistant bands and stuff. We have sand balls, plyo boxes, slam balls.
Weight bench.
And so you got any movies, commercials, anything like that you're doing now? Or
No, actually, it was funny. So when I did this, I did pretty much an intense course of like acting and stuff, and it got some good. But then when my son was born, so Kim was working on our Bionic Body business already full time. So I actually spent for a while there pretty much being like super dad. So.
Well, that's nice.
So I kind of couldn't really do it every day, because if you do acting, it's like bodybuilding. You got to go and train the craftsman every day. I got pretty good at some point. So I trained with Howard Fine, who actually worked with Brad Pitt and some other big name guys. So.
Well, your son can really, and I say this with the other guys, your son can go to school and he could truly say, my dad is stronger than your dad, because that's probably true no matter what.
Well, it's like every time I go, you know, his girlfriend always like, oh, Mr. Universe.
Oh, is that to you?
He's Mr. That's what kind of they say. They know me as Mr. Universe.
I have to ask you, and I mean this. How does it feel? Do you ever stop and think in your head? And you're obviously not a person who is full of himself, but I've always said I get to talk to like the most amazing people every day doing this. I get to talk to people. I mean, I still have magazines sitting right here from 40 years ago. I like to have I like to have magazines in my head. You know, Andrea's Calling from 1981. So I get to talk. You know, it's like opening up magazines from my childhood and talking to you guys. So I mean it when I say, how does it feel to have accomplished becoming the best in the world at something, even if it was just for a short period of time? Because it's almost impossible with all the people on the planet. It's almost impossible to do that. So when she says Mr. Universe, you know, people are laughing, but yeah, you did do that. I mean, does that give you a feeling that you've done enough and you really, you got that out of the way?
Well, you always, when you have as a kid always, or like your whole life, you have the dream, you see yourself on stage. And I had that dream always, like the Mr. Olympia. And it was funny though, I had that twice happen. It was once, obviously, when I won the Mr. Universe heavyweight in 1993, right? And then, the Mr. Olympia in 2002, when I was on stage and I got called 5th, right? That roar and that standing ovation in that moment, right? Being on stage and you walk up to the front to get your medal and your check, whatever, your trophy there.
Yes.
And that roar that came from the audience and the boo and that screaming and the standing ovation, that was the moment that told me that's why you do this for.
Yes.
That was it. I had goosebumps that moment. I walked. I started I was like shivering almost. It was really weird because of that, how that reaction came. And actually they wrote in a magazine about it that the Olympia turned into Gunter Mania. I think it has not turned out differently, even if I would have won the Mr. Olympia.
Wow.
It was just that feel. And it's like, it's like, that was the moment I said, and that's why you did it. And that's it. I mean, that's why you did all the pain, that work, and the life, and that's what you live for, to have an experience like that.
Yes, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Seriously, it's hard to explain. It was all worth it, man. It's like
Gunter, can you revisit that in your head and feel that sometimes?
I just need to go and listen to the song from Journey or watch the YouTube that video. It is like the Mr. Olympia, and it's like I'm sitting there and it goes all over again.
Wow,
it is strange. Yeah, I can revisit it really easy. Yeah, it's really nice.
I'm gonna end by saying I thank you for your time. This has been
you're welcome. Very welcome.
A great experience for me and all our members. And this is going to go on your page, YouTube, all over the place. But I'm glad that people like you exist. I say this all the time because, a high achiever, a person doing these things, shows other people what can be done, because everything is depleted and negative now. Not everything, but
a lot. We need more positives. My wife and I we don't really watch any news. I kind of read a little bit, but I don't watch it because it's for 55 minutes crap, and they make you feel like the whole world is exploding, and then you get like 2 minutes. Oh, look here, we saved the dog, and then I seriously, I can stand that. I might watch just the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, and I say the same thing. I don't watch the news. People will, how are you informed? I go, listen, if something's really bad, my mother will call me. She's a couple towns over. Otherwise, I don't need to know. I don't need to know it because listen, you're negative all the time. I believe some people, it's ingrained in their DNA. They're just going to be negative no matter what. Yeah. They could have won that.
It's also that they.
What's that?
That's also that they want to make you live in fear,
Yes.
I have to move you a little bit here because my battery is running out.
Well, that's okay. We're almost done. But yeah, you don't want to live in fear. You want to be a champion of your own story, and be around people like you. That's what we do every day. And there's always something that you can find to be grateful for. And you're happy to be in America, right? You're happy you came here. It was a good move.
Oh, yeah, of course, man. It's really funny. I was last year back to Germany, and I had to go back there, see my mom. She kind of passed away and stuff. So,
oh, sorry.
And it's life. Unfortunately, that happens. Things move on. But I got to see her, and so things were still good. And so a lot of people, actually, there's still people asking me if I come back to Germany.
Really? What do you tell them?
I said, you know that I live in a house in California. And I have an ocean view panoramic from Malibu to Catalina Island. And wow. I said, so the climate here is perfect. Even in the summertime, it's between 75 and 85 mostly, always with a nice breeze and wind. And I mean, it's like, I have family there and stuff. I said, I'm not coming back. It's like,
when you describe that, it's very picturesque. I almost feel like I'm there. And you're telling them that, and maybe they get mad, maybe they look at their own situation.
Just understand that it's like, it's really interesting sometimes how life is dependent on a few small things. One small thing was when I came over here to America, I slept in a factory building with my ex-wife in Kearney, New Jersey, where dog pooped all over the place. A con artist took advantage of us. We lost all the money. That was in 96 before I came here to California to see Joe
Gunter,
Rita.
sorry, how did that come about? He lured you over here with some story. It wasn't true.
Yeah, so I met him actually at the Night of the Champions in 1996, and he said, "Oh man, I have a gym wear here. I have clothes, right? You should come over here. Should do, and you got to be here, man. Then you can place higher and stuff." I placed actually at that show. From 52 people, I placed 12, and everybody. I got invited by John Kemper at the time, was a gym owner, but he also was a judge. You might know him, and he said, "Come to my gym, man. You should have placed higher." So it was like, and obviously this guy said the same. And end of story was we came out here, we didn't get picked up. Then all of a sudden, I could reach him 5 hours waiting at the airport. And then he said, "Oh, I didn't think you would come." And "What are you talking about? We talked yesterday on the phone." I said, "Our flight leaves tomorrow morning. We be there at that time at the airport." Anyway, so, and he, with his whole family, was already living in a factory building. So he must have lost his business in the meantime and all this stuff. So it was all very, how do you say that? Well, he was a con artist, I guess, that's all I can say to that. So then me and my wife, well, the good thing is, well, we almost separated at the time because it was so miserable. So my wife didn't talk to me for 2 weeks.
Wow.
See, these are all stories. I mean, if I can talk about my life, I have to write a book about it, man. It's like,
well, you ought to, because you're smiling, but you see, that's the thing. People don't see that stuff, and it's going to come if you're going to rise. It's not, like Stallone says, not rainbows and sunshine. But so America is good. Like you see in the news, down with America, America's bad. I mean, I'm not. Everybody wants to come here, as far as I know.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, and so when kind of like almost have to say shit hit the fan. So I talked to my mentor. His name is Walter Clark. When I was training for the Mr. Universe at 23 and 1. He was the guy who was 66 years old at the time. And I said, well, I'm not ready yet. I think I might not do it. And nobody counted on me. I mean, you like going to like people never see good in you. They always want to be negative, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they said, oh, he can do it. He shouldn't go to the Mr. Universe yet. He's not ready yet. He's too young and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I might wait a year. And then Walter Clark, told me, he said, you can do it. I said, what do you mean? He said, you come here, you work for me, you do the front desk, you train a few people in a gym. We train twice a day. You get an apartment near my gym and we train 4 months and we get you ready. And I said, oh man, I don't know. I said, yeah, you can. It's like, so financially, I had, didn't even know, could I do that at the time? So, and he said, financially, he gave me, obviously I could work there, make some money, and then, they paid for all food and all this stuff. Well, I pretty much did that. I left my girlfriend there during the week. I moved up during the week to Gießen. I trained like crazy, and guess what? Nobody expected it, and nobody thought I would ever qualify for it. And then I came there, and I pretty much kicked everybody around the table. I mean, it was crazy. They were like all in shock that I looked that amazing and made so much improvement that I actually won the whole thing, the qualifier, and then also the world champion that year. Thanks to that 66-year-old guy who worked the whole time out with me. And he was a guy to make me actually stay here because I was close to with my ex-wife at the time after we, like I said, in New Jersey, shit hits the fan. I said, hey, man, I don't know if I can do this. And he said, well, there's a Gunter. What you went through so much, he said. Is it all for nothing? That little now, what is that one thing? It's like there's one rock in your way and you said, oh, wow, I'm giving up. Let me tell you something. All people here in Germany who know you, every gym, every person who heard about you is hoping you're coming back and you're not making it. All people in our gym, the members say, he will be back in 3 months. He will not survive. He can do it.
Why do they think that way? Why do they think that way?
Well, because you have to understand, most people don't do it themselves. When there's something you can do and you're not willing to put in the work, you don't like to see other people succeed.
That's correct.
You know, you kind of get that.
Yeah.
You know, it is very rare that people, and mostly that's people who have been successful. They understand that, you know, no matter what, you're happy for the person, even if he can reach more than you do.
Always.
You know, you're not always your talent, your genetics are there, whatever it is. Also, your support is not always. It's not always equal. All you can do is do the best you can and do the best. You know, put your most effort into it.
You remind me of a friend from Albania, came here with $5 in his pocket. Many years later, he became a bodybuilder, did well, IFBB Pro and physique, but he runs a big restaurant, very successful. And I said, you know, why did you make it here and so many Americans can't? And he said, I came from a very bad place. And he said, people here are lazy. He said, they've got all the opportunity, you know, not everybody, but, you know, if you can't plug yourself, you know, it's the hard work that you're talking about. And we do have one more question. Do you swim in the ocean and train in the water since you live near the water?
No, the only time I go in the ocean is my son forces me to. So actually I go in there and, you know, when we go to the beach and stuff, I try to swim around a little bit and stuff, you know. So we, but no, I don't train or, I mean, I used to be a good swimmer when I was little, but when I got too big, all of a sudden I sink. It takes a lot of effort to keep my weight over.
That's because you're all muscle,
really that good. I'm not floating really good.
Hey, Gunter, I've kept you for an hour and a half, and I didn't plan for that, but that's fantastic. I really want to thank you. This has been, you know, to me, an experience, and everybody appreciated it. We had a lot of interaction here. I'm going to post this all over. Any parting thoughts for the people? Any parting words at all?
Well, guys, and I said, you know, you know, life always depends on you. It's, you know, you're always as good as much work you put in, and don't let other people tell you how much you can do and how much not. You know, it's all on you depending. And I noticed in my, well, with me, with bodybuilding, the biggest naysayers were actually my closest friends and my families.
Isn't that something?
And I proved them all wrong. And you know, and for me, that is as much satisfaction and actually, you know, doing good in shows and stuff like that, because you know, it's like life is about passion. You have one life, you don't get a second chance, so make the most of it. And if you don't do anything with passion, you know, you might not live really. You know, you gotta find something you're passionate about it. You know, I always say too, when people don't like their jobs and stuff, you know, look, I mean, of course you have to work because you have to make an income, but always look for something you are passionate about and try to make that your love and your income, or try to get an income with it. You know, it's like, I think life is too short really to waste it on things and be miserable all day.
Way too short, man. I'm hoping reincarnation is true. I mean, but I'm doing good. I'm happy. I'm talking to you right now, and I want to thank you again. Monday we have Evan Centopani. Friday we have John Meadows. Then I've got Earl Maynard, who starred in The Deep, and got a bunch of other people coming. But of course, right now we have probably our biggest bodybuilder on here, and the guy with the biggest smile, Gunter Schlierkamp. And I know Kim Lyons is lurking around there somewhere. The very famous Kim Lyons. And young Jake with the abs, who probably wants to go swimming right now, so I'll let you go. But I want to thank you so much. Thanks, Gunter.
Oh, you're very welcome, Michael. Take care, buddy.
And listen, I look forward to seeing you on a commercial or a movie or something.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe something else is coming up here.
You never know. Hey, thanks, and have a great weekend, man. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Take care. Okay.